Hello, I'm Rebecca Weber. You're watching Better for America, presented by AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens. And joining me today is one of my favorite patriots. That's Mike Lindell. He is the well-known founder and CEO of MyPillow. We have a great episode coming up, diving into Mike's life story, his great company, and the driving factor that leads Mike to fight for our country. So stay tuned.
The Association of Mature American Citizens is the conservative voice for Americans 50 and older. AMAC is fighting for the values that you hold dear. Join today. Together, we can write the course of America.
You're in. Hello, Mike. There's a man. He's the greatest buyer of ads in history. Mike Lindell. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike.
Mike, I'm thrilled to have you here with me on Better for America. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Now, Mike, you're a prime example of someone who has worked so hard to realize the American dream. And before founding MyPillow, you first began your entrepreneurial career with a carpet cleaning business, I believe, and then you pivoted into the food, bar, and restaurant industry. Can you share a little bit about your background, and was there a defining moment early in your life that signaled you to become an entrepreneur and then go ahead and form MyPillow?
Well, I was always an entrepreneur, it seems like. I went back even when I was a kid. I would set up carnivals and go buy candy and then have the carnival games where they'd pay to get into the carnival, and then we'd have all these games going on. And then I would set up a big amusement park thing in our trailer court park, and so just doing things like that. But I was always hard work. I had a paper route, and then I worked at a grocery store, and I worked at I had a garden where I would sell all my stuff on the street. And I said, well, why am I selling it here? I could sell it right to the grocery store. And so just different entrepreneurial things. And then I had the last jobs I had probably was a drive-in movie theater and a grocery store. And when I worked at the grocery store, I would always have problems with the owner and the manager. I'm going, why don't you do it like this? Why don't you do it like this? And I think I got let go about 4 or 5 times. And they go, Mike, if you this is the way we do it here. If you want to do it, get your own company, So and then I started. It was a lot of problem solution businesses. I had the carpet cleaning business. My sister flooded a second or third story apartment complex with a water bed, and so I went and got a carpet cleaning machine and cleaned it. And I said, I should just go into this business. So that was a problem solution. Then I had a lunch wagon business, and just these different problem solution businesses, and all very successful. But I got into and I always did it with my own money. I would I didn't go to banks or whatever, so it was very, very from the bottom up. And but I had a parallel track. I was a very functioning addict. That's part of my story, and I was a cocaine addict and then a crack cocaine, but so when I got into the bar business, probably not a good place for an addict, but I had the bar 13 years, and during that, to make it very successful, I learned a lot about marketing and everything else. But like I say, a parallel track. I think people think of addicts as in the street, homeless. Well, I've been there, but most addicts, it doesn't matter. Addiction affects everyone, no matter how many forks you eat with. So when I say all the way from the street all the way up to people that eat with 4 forks, but I sold the last bar in 2003. I had it 13 years, and at the time it was so devastating because I was kind of forced to sell. If you read my book, and it kind of explains in there. But it was so devastating at the time. But I look back now, and what a different, it had to happen that way. And so I think people in life, you look back and you see these things that were just, so horrific at the time or devastating, and then later on you look back at, wow, this is the way it happened. This is the way God intended it to end up here. And
what a beautiful story. Continue.
And then when I
please.
sold that, when I sold that, I had. Which I had to sell. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was also a professional card counter. I mean, I had all kinds of stuff. If you read my book, and but I invented my pillow. It took about a year to invent. I had this idea of a pillow, and I tried everything. I know, I didn't. I always had problems with pillows. In fact, I had bought one back when I was 16 years old, working for that grocery store. I spent $80 back in 1977 on the most expensive pillow I could find, which was a down pillow. I got it home, and it just goes down, and I'm using my arm, folding my pillow, my neck's sore in the morning, and I couldn't return it. But anyway, so I had all these pillow problems throughout my life, and I go, I wonder if everybody else has the same problem. I wanted a pillow you could adjust, that it would hold. I wanted all these things out of the pillow, and I was very persistent. And finally, when I had it invented, like I say, it took about a year, and I was completely penniless at that time. And my 4 little kids, and I remember going into a store, a box store, and saying, I got the best pillow ever. How many do you want? And they're going, you need to leave. We have a process here. And I'm going, so they turned me down, kind of like right now where I'm turned down everywhere with the box stores. But
Unbelievable. I know, and not too long ago, you were, not too many years ago, the My Pillow was in box stores. So times have changed. But I just want to mention, you've got such grit. This is something that many people, you're born with that sort of that drive and that desire. And then you mentioned your faith being playing an important role in sort of your tenacity and your perseverance and not giving up, believing that there's a higher powers, a God who loves you and that wants the best for you. And then, of course, for many people, the hardest thing is to really start, Mike. A lot of people have ideas, but it's taking an idea and putting it into action. Things can really seem, I think, daunting without any prior experience to people. And what I truly find fascinating about your journey is that you created this prototype of My Pillow from scratch, even with all of the, I remember when you first came out with the face in the mirror. Your first commercial was excellent, by the way, and I think you've got variations of it today. But this is something that a lot of people are unaware of, that it's about continuing to keep going and never giving up. I understand that you just mentioned it took you a year to create the product and the logo.
right.
Tell us what went into the physical creation of My Pillow, and what was the beginning of that process like, considering that you really didn't have any prior experience in manufacturing?
Right. Well, you research. I knew what I wanted conceptually. What I wanted, something you could adjust and would stay there. It was kind of reverse engineering problem solution. So okay. One of the problems was pillows would go flat, and so I wanted something that would hold, and then I wanted something you could adjust. We all have different shoulders and body sizes, and some pillows got hot, and some pillows are all about temperature. Then I wanted one. I finally got it all. Me and one of my sons, we would tear different foams and different things. Every day, try different things, and that one would fail, and that one would fail, and then we finally had some, but we couldn't get it. We finally had where it would hold, but then you couldn't get it apart. And then we went through some other processes. But once I got it all done, and I'm going, wow, this actually works. Got it, and the patented fill would hold. And then I go, you know what? I want to make it so you could wash and dry it. It hadn't really been done with pillows before.
Right.
And so I went into that process. That would be another 2 months. And I just was so, and then I wanted it to last. And I found out with the stuff that was added that would actually loosen it up, actually gave it longevity. So that's why I was able to put a 10-year warranty on it. But all these things, so it was like, but I also learned I had to go in and ask. In any entrepreneur with invention, you always want to go and do as much due diligence as you can with someone that's been there. But nobody had been there with a pillow, okay? So what I had to do then was go to places that were experts in like foam, or, that's why I came up with the patented foam. I would go there and learn everything I could about that particular piece of this product, and then learn about the fabric, what goes into fabric, And it was funny because when I first invented it, I got a sewing machine, and I spent hours going, I couldn't thread the bobbin. there's a bobbin on there, and
I know.
I'm going, just things like that you wouldn't think of, and all of a sudden it's not in the manual. I hit the foot feed and it threads itself, and I'm
Yeah.
going, well, of course everybody knows it threads itself, right? And
Yeah.
but it was once I had that, then it was the marketing part of it, and like I say, I was turned down everywhere, and someone said, Mike, why don't you do a kiosk? I said, how do you spell kiosk? What is a kiosk? And we went in and spent our life saving, everything we had left on this kiosk, and it failed miserably. I was very much afraid. I couldn't talk to people directly. I was, you wouldn't know that now, but here I had addiction on this track. So when I couldn't actually be there, high or on drugs or anything. So I'd be there sober, but sober in my own skin. People would come up and I'd be all nervous and couldn't talk. And so I avoided the kiosk. I probably went there one day, but I sold a pillow to this guy, and he goes, and he says, you have a business card? I said, oh yeah, I'm all out. I just wrote on a piece of paper. I didn't have business cards, and here that was we had only sold like 30 pillows and we lost all that money through that kiosk that Christmas, and got into January, and I was I'm going, now what do we do? The box stores had all turned us down. The kiosk failed. And this guy called me up and he said, are you the guy that invented this pillow here in Minnesota? And I said, yes. He goes, well, it changed my life. He said, this is incredible, because it probably worked, right? And he was that one guy that I gave that phone number to. Is this divine appointment. And he said, I run the Minneapolis Home and Garden Show. Would you like a spot in there? And I said, well, what's that? He said, it's like a big show. He was telling me, because I didn't even know, these shows, like fairs, like kind of like but it was a big home show. And I said, yeah. And he says, we save spots for innovative products. And he says, if you want to come in, he says, the booth would cost this much. So I borrowed money to do the booth. And I went in there with a different kind of marketing where I put the bold claim, guaranteed the most comfortable pillow you ever own. And I did my own marketing, put it up there, the signs up. But I also put a table in front of me so that I wouldn't have to talk directly to people. I had it was like, and I found out later in my book, it's like, it was fear of rejection. Well, you don't get rejected if you don't talk, And so but when I was behind that table, it was like a little shield, and I'm telling them about the pillow, and about 12 people bought pillows that first day. They all came back the next day to that show, and got back in. They had to pay to get back in, to come up to the booth to tell me how this pillow this is amazing and all this stuff. And I felt so good inside that I had helped them. And I was just hooked on that feeling. I'm going, wow, it wasn't about the money. It was just incredible. Each one of them that had changed their life. So they had the same problem I had that had solved my problem for sleep. And anyway, then, so I did home shows and fairs for years. And then to really fast forward that, I said it got to be 2000. I quit all my drugs and everything January 16th, 2009, by the grace of God, overnight, and never looked back on that. Anyway, in August of 2011, it was just staying all fairs and shows for years, and I told my friends and family, let's pool our money and do an infomercial. I got a dream. It's going to be the biggest infomercial in the world. And so we all put our money in, and I didn't know infomercials don't work. It's only to get into box stores, to brand for cheaper. But nobody told me that, right? So I wanted to make money on the front end. And anyway, we went to film this infomercial in August of 2011, and a Hollywood producer came in, this guy that came in, a real producer comes in, and the night before we're doing our reads, because I wanted to do it just the way I did at the home shows with a live audience. But anyway, we're doing our reads, and he texts the other guy. He said, this is the worst guy I've ever seen. He'll never make it on TV. Why am I here? And the other guy says, he's paid, just go with it. So the next day, though, I was just petrified in front of the audience, and we had to bring in a table and take away the teleprompter and do it the way I did it at shows. And it launched October 7th, 2011, in the middle of the night. We had 10 employees. I had them, my kids and stuff. 40 days later, we had 500 employees, and it just exploded.
Oh, boy. Well, you know what? You mentioned that several people told you that My Pillow, or many people, I'm sure thousands at this point, that the pillow has changed their lives. And I'm here to tell our members and everyone out there listening that My Pillow, and I'm not doing this, this is the real deal. I have a lot of our partners, our member benefit partners come on, and I don't necessarily use all of the products, or I may not have a personal experience. This pillow has changed my life. I love the My Pillow. It's soft, it's flexible, it bounces right back up, it molds to your head. I'm a side sleeper, Mike. When I tell you I don't have the neck pain and the shoulder pain that I used to have, this is probably, now what's interesting is this is the original My Pillow. This I bought about three years ago. I've got the My Pillow 2.0 down in Florida. Though when those came in, I said, "Oh my gosh, you don't even think it could get better." And I don't know what's different, what's quite so different about the 2.0, but it's better.
Right. Yeah. Here. Let me tell you though. This is the My Pillow 2.0 there, but the My Pillow's patented, Phil. I got a patent on it, and what it is, everybody, sleep is about keeping your neck straight at night, your cervical nerves, keeping them all straight, whether you're on your side or your back or your stomach. You got to keep your head straight. So everybody's got different frame size. So with the My Pillow, if I'm on my side, I just adjust it, but it holds. They all grip together. They hold, and so you get this amazing feeling, but it stays there. You're not using your arm. You're not folding your pillow. Now, if you need to, if you're on your back, you can tuck it, get exactly what you need for your back, fill in that area. And
I know it.
And the other part of that is. The other thing is about temperature. If your neck gets hot, it's really bad for your sleep. And so you don't want to have these sleep interruptions, whether a bent neck or hot and flip-flopping all night. So with My Pillow back in the day, when I invented it, it wasn't like memory foam. It's not memory foam. It's a patented foam that we developed, and so it didn't get hot. So you didn't have to worry about that. But about a year and a half ago, I heard about that nothing changed with My Pillow. For 82 million pillows later, nothing had changed up until a year and a half ago, and I heard about this temperature-regulating cooling thread available in the United States, and went to that company and said, I want you to make some fabric out of that, and I want to try it with the My Pillow. Well, we did, and it was amazing because this actually keeps your neck cool. So you have a cooling fabric now, and combined with the patented fill, now you get the best, hence the My Pillow 2.0. So it's been amazing.
It's fabulous. And Mike, I want to thank you too for bringing this great pillow to AMAC members at a discount. For everybody listening, check out amac.us right on the homepage. Click on the benefits icon. Go to our newest benefits. You're going to see an incredible deal. Mike is offering all of our card-carrying AMAC members free shipping and a very steep discount. So check us out at amac.us. This is one of my favorite things. I love my sleep at night. There's no place like your own bed, right? And just to have this, I miss it when I'm traveling. When I'm at hotels and motels. Hopefully those hotels and motels will get them in there, because this is a great, great pillow. Thank you so much for the discount. I'm just thrilled to offer this incredible member benefit to our great AMAC members. Really good stuff. Mike, before I move on, I mean, I have some other great questions for you, but I have to tell you, for me, as a business owner as well, my father was my best friend, my my rock, my inspiration. He was really my mentor. He himself was an entrepreneur and formed AMAC. And thank God for my father. He was always there for me. I think everyone should be so lucky to have someone in their life who they can truly lean on. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, throughout your career, and especially through your trying times, you mentioned that you were a recovering addict. Who was that inspiration in your life, and what did you draw on to just keep going and not give up? And who do you really credit your full recovery now for over a decade?
Yeah, and I wasn't saved. I became born again on February 18, 2017. But I always believed in God. God would always get me through. I would have these reactionary prayers. God, please get me through this, and I won't do this again, or I'll do this, or whatever. I always call those reactionary prayers. And then I say, you know what? what changed is I would be proactive. If you say, the reactionary prayers might not be God's will. Well, God's will is in the Word. So if you stay in the Word, you can be proactive in prayer, and they line up beautifully. In spite of what's going on, you just get a peace that everything's going to be okay. It's not on my shoulders; it's on God's, and I really look, like I said earlier in the show. If you look back and you see things happening, just like what's happening in our nation, you see things happening. When we get to this beautiful place out here, you're going to look back and say, "Wow, these things had to happen on God's timing, not ours, and it had to happen the way it happened." One of the things I want to say outside of that, I want to tell anyone in business or whatever, when you go into, whether it's a business or whether it's to a product, you need to go into and learn as much as you can from someone that's been there, so you don't make the same mistakes. In business, you need to look for deviations. If you see a good thing happening, you want to duplicate it, because everything happens for an input. So whatever the input is, you better look at that. Like I look at thousands of podcasts, advertising platforms every day, and if I see one that does really good, I look at it right away in the morning and go, wow, something different must have happened. It's the power of numbers. And then, wow, here's what they did. So then we duplicate it. If something bad happened, you want to fix that. And the other thing I say to people is to treat every customer like your only customer, every employee like it's your only employee. And if you're doing that, and every venue, like every outlet, like what if you had to make all your money on this one advertisement? You'd want it to be the best you could make it. So it's I micromanage and then macromanage, and I just think
I understand that concept
it's so
very
important to have to don't make mistakes that others have made, and that you can look at that. Now, some things like my pillow, nobody had been there, right? And that's a little different. But, well, like I said earlier, what I did then is I looked at components of that, or like if it's a business where you don't have anybody out there to really compare to, then just look at business in general. But I think it's really important. The entrepreneurs in our country, and then it's marketing too. There's so many components of it, but like I say,
that's a whole other. We could sit for hours, you and I, and probably talk about
yeah.
marketing. We've got a great story here, but you and your company truly care about the lives of not only just your customers, but your employees as well. And it's widely known that as a company, MyPillow treats employees like family, and you're encouraging them to put their families first, help them wherever they can, wherever they need help. Would you share with us, how did you establish this kind of culture? Because a lot of those listening are small business owners. And I'm curious, how do you establish that kind of culture in a business that now employs how many, Mike?
Well, it really is treating every employee like your only employee, and looking at, like, I don't have a lot of people that ever came from the corporate world. 500 of my employees have my direct phone number. They call me if there's a deviation or a block. It's like, and I've taken employees where we've seen, hey, this person here, I have an ex-painter that's now our maintenance guy, or a person over here that never had really training in IT, but all of a sudden I've seen she just thrived in that, so I put her in there. And so it's it's putting people where they're happy too. I know one thing that I've set up at MyPillow is all of our employees, if you we'll work around their schedule somewhat too. Like if they could only work 3 days or 4, we'll adjust to that. Or one of the things that way back in the day, that grocery store I worked at, I didn't like it when you worked at a place and let's say you had a death in the family, or let's say it's someone you're close to, and they'd say, well, if it's your neighbor, you better be to work tomorrow. If it's a family member, you can take 3 days off to grieve. Things like this. Where MyPillow, if something happens, somebody passes that you're close to, you can take off as long as you want, and we pay for while you're gone. If you get hurt, if someone gets hurt and it's life-threatening in the hospital or whatever, and you need to be off, you're off. We pay you while you're off, or you pay if you need help. It's like we humanize the company. It's wonderful. Like, we don't. And so or if someone's in addiction, that's been my path. If we find someone that's in addiction, we pay them where they go to treatment. We not only cover their treatment, but we have to go where we send them because it's the faith-based centers that work, not the secular. And we give so many second chances, and it's just been amazing. That's why we've grown as a family, and we went through some hard times beyond anything. But it's just a faith that I think it goes down from the top that we will get through it. This last 5 months or 6 months was the biggest attack on my pillow in history, bar none, and that was all because I had a plan last August to secure our election platforms, and somebody out there doesn't like that.
That's right. I do want to get to that because that's important and of great interest to our membership. But before we move there, I just want to stick here. You mentioned your faith, and I recall one story about you where you refused to remove or tuck in your cross before appearing on camera. And I absolutely commend you for that. Tell me a little bit about that, and how has your faith helped shaped you? You've been sharing so much about it, and why should other people listen to what you have to say about faith really being the bedrock of your success?
Well, like I say, I had 2 parallel tracks back in the day. It was like a very functioning addict, and then when I turned to crack cocaine in the early 2000s, I invented my pill in 2004. I didn't quit everything until January 16, 2009. But I'll give you an example. I would always, even when the bars would close, I would tell my friends about, I read the Bible in jail, and I read this, I read about, Revelation, and I would be witnessing to them. They would end up quitting and find the Lord, and I'm still reaching out, and God's still chasing me. And it was, I remember in 2008, I'm downtown Minneapolis, and I had been up for like days, 14 days or whatever, with no sleep, and I come out of the room, and all 3 of my drug dealers they had never met. They're all 3 standing there, and I go, "What are you guys doing?" They go, "We're cutting you off. You've been up for 14 days." I said, "What is this, an intervention?" They go, "Call it whatever you want, Mike." Now, two of them left, and the other guy stayed awake and sat in a chair until I was, watching, finish this crack cocaine. And while I get done, and I look over, and I'm out, and I'm carpet farming all this stuff. I look over, and he's asleep, and I snuck down to the streets of Minneapolis. I couldn't buy crack anywhere. They had gotten the word out, don't sell to this guy. I come back upstairs, and he says, I come back upstairs, and he goes, "How'd that work out for you?" And he goes, and I said, "What?" And he goes, "You've been telling us for years that that you're going to quit all these drugs and help us get out of this addiction world we're living in." Because I'd always tell him I'm going to quit someday and I'm going to help everybody. That was my dream, right? Well, I was their hope, and he took a picture. It's actually on the cover of my book. He said I had been up for 14. In fact, I have one here. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
But
Sure
it changes. It's like a hologram. And that picture that he took, he goes, "You're going to need this for that book you told us you're going to write someday." So in other words, what I'm saying is I would always keep trying to convince myself that there's a better way. And I would tell them, well, here's drug dealers actually did an intervention because, and I'm their best client probably, and they are best. But I didn't quit then. It was a year later, and on January 16, 2009, I said, "God," my sister said, "You have a big calling. We all have big callings." And he said, "You need to quit or God's going to pick someone else." But I waited all the way till then, and I knew if I went one day further, there were 2 choices, like 2 movie reels of my life, like a first feature and a second feature. I knew the second feature was not going to be an option, and it was everywhere this path was taking me down this bad path. And I just prayed. I said, "God, I want to be free to the desire. I want to wake up and never have the desire for alcohol, drugs, all this again. And then I'll do this platform." I was completely broke too. But anyway, I woke up the next day and I go, "Wow, it's gone." And now that's the day I thought I was saved. That was January 16, 2009. Now you always see me wearing my cross on TV. I wanted to be that person, and I thought I was saved. Well, then it wasn't until February 18, 2017, when I did a completely full surrender. And there it was, here's a person it's a lot easier talking on when you're doing a commercial, but I could never talk in front of crowds. And after that, it was like a thing lifted off me, and when I was saved that day, and it was just a lot easier. I went to U.S. Bank Stadium and 50-some thousand people, and led them in prayer at this big, and all these. It was a big Christian event, and I remember a week later at the amusement park with my granddaughter, and all these kids are coming up, 20, 25 years old, and they're going, "Wow, I heard your testimony. I got saved. There was it helped me so much." And I'm going, and it was like, wow, what a difference, it was, that it was making. I was going down, confirmation I was going down the right path. And finally my granddaughter says, he's my grandpa, we got to go on rides.
I just love this story. It's because it's got such a good, strong ending, but also it's a message of hope. God can do what man can't do. God can do the impossible.
Right.
And I think I just want to encourage everybody listening that never forget that. You're never too far gone in any area of your life to change course, and leaning on God and understanding that his yoke is easy and his burden is light, and he can help us and he can carry us is such an important message. So Mike, I want to move on a little bit because you've been in the spotlight over the years, and it has been a tragedy to see how the far left has tried to bully you, demean you, and cancel you. Just if you could sort of bring our listeners up to speed, speak to how your love for America has been the driving force in your life, and maybe why the America First movement is so important, not just for you personally, but for the future of American businesses.
Right. Well, you guys, I had never voted. I didn't know anything about politics. I didn't know a filibuster from a millibuster, a Democrat from a Republican. In January, in the spring of 2015, I'll cut through that. But I had a dream I would meet Donald Trump, and he hadn't even run for president. I just heard about him, this entrepreneur and this rich guy, and then he comes down the escalator running for president. Well, through a bunch of divine appointments, I end up meeting him on August 15th of 2016. I get invited to meet him, and there was no agenda. It was just him and I. And I went in there and we talked about. I said he asked me about making my pillow here and how that works out. And he said I want to bring the manufacturing back. And I said they had told me whatever you do, don't tell me you're a crack addict. I said I used to be a crack addict. I kind of looked at him like that, and he goes. But I said, I have a network I'm setting up called the Lindell Recovery Network. It's going to be free to people. I'm going to help people out of addiction and help them to get to God. And he says, yeah, you always wear your cross on TV. He said, are you a Christian? I said, yes, Mr. Trump, this is a very divine appointment. And we talked about, then he said, well, I'm going to stop them drugs pouring in. I'm going to build a wall and all this stuff. And he was telling me all this, but it was a half-hour conversation. And I walked out of there and I went and talked to his employees because I'm going, wow, I've never met a president or a future president before, but this, if he does all this, it was like two businessmen talking. I go, this would be amazing for the country. And so I talked to his employees. They all said the same thing. Good man, great boss. They all had an individual story about him, how he had helped them. And I was with my past, I was very good at reading people. He had no agenda other than wanting my opinion on for having a company here, and it was just amazing conversation. Well, anyway, I got back to Minnesota, and I said and I was the media's darling. I was like the darling. Here's the American dream on steroids, from crack addict to thousands of employees, and this pillow invented, and we had sold. I'd been on TV over 3 million times by then. And all the media here, then I went to do this press release. All I said was I met Donald Trump. I had a meeting with him. I didn't even tell him what we talked about. I figured all the media would come, hey, and I could get the word out. Well, as soon as I did that, I was attacked like you can't even believe it. It was like the attack started. One of the ones, and I'm going, what? I didn't know a lot of it was bots and trolls and electronic stuff in this attack. And it just, it was devastating to me. One of the articles said, Mike Lindell, a drug dealer, and and so I got that one retracted. I've never dealt any drugs in my life. I said, I never dealt a drug in my life. I tried to rid Minneapolis of drugs by doing them all. And so you had that, and then we went through course. Then I went all in. I'm going, you know what? This is strange to me. They must not want something good or whatever. And so I went all in, and then the Better Business Bureau, they got on board. They can't. I was the Better Business Bureau's darling. I had an A+ rating. I was up for their Torch Award for the best company, the best customer service ever. Well, the Better Business Bureau, in the fall of 2016, after Donald Trump won, the Better Business Bureau lowered My Pillow's rating from an A+ to an F, all political. And it's still an F, by the way, everybody. That's just fantastic. And so this was just devastating.
Right.
Yeah, devastating attacks. And then we go up. I remember I spoke at the Rose Garden. When I spoke at the Rose Garden, it was funny. Before that, I ended up on TV. I go to the White House for the roundtable of manufacturers, and in 2017, and this picture goes over national TV. Here's me and the president then. And all my friends are going, what is this ex-crack addict up there? Jesus is real, because this would be impossible. Because here's a guy who came from this to, I was sitting in the White House with the president. Well, what happened then is I was invited to speak at the Rose Garden, and everybody remembers that. When I spoke out, we needed hope. It was right before the China virus, and I'm going, we need to spend time, get back in the Word, and read our Bibles with our families, and you'd think I shot somebody. They attacked from all over the world. It was like culture wars. There are 109 interviews I did in 5 days. Well, that was nothing compared to you get up to after the 2020 election. And then in 2021, when I was handed evidence that explained, I look at numbers every day, and after 2020, I couldn't explain why all these counties and states had non-resident or people that didn't live there voted, or people that were deceased. And it was everywhere. And I go, people didn't march into the next state over and go, hey, let's go commit a crime. I said their names had to have been used. Well, then on January 9th of 2021, I got this evidence that showed it was machines and used with computers. And then I had this. I go, wow, this is right from God. It's going to save the country. And everybody knows for 2.5 years now, it's been an effort that's been just, I have to every day I pray and I go, this is on God's timing, not mine, because you go, but we've had great things going on where I really have hope for the country, and the bad things that are going on, everybody. If we didn't have that, we're unraveling this onion, so to speak, opening people's eyes, and people are pouring in. They're pouring into two buckets. We have this common sense bucket. I don't care about politics or whether this is the people, us as people. As bad things are going on, destroying our country, that this administration, whatever's going on, people are pouring into this common sense bucket now. That's the people's bucket where we're going. Call that the Donald Trump bucket if you want. But this is going to change more than just than one man. They're pouring in, going, hey, we have to have a government that's for the people. And then we also have another bucket going on. So this is where I get a piece. When you got up to December of 2019, everybody had physically, their lives had improved. If you started in the streets or whatever, wherever your baseline was, physically improved. It was the highest consumer confidence in history, lowest unemployment, everything physically had went up. And that was a manifestation of political decisions made for common problem solution, common sense that would help all people. Now you have just the opposite going on in our country. Everything's getting destroyed. There's nonsense, no sense to keeping a border open, fentanyl pouring in and people dying daily by overdosing, and all this economy getting destroyed, people's lives getting destroyed. But back in December of 2019, there wasn't too many people going, thank you, God, thank you, and coming to God. People just took this for granted. Now they're pouring into this bucket for Jesus on both sides, pouring in, because people don't look for hope when things are going good. They look for hope when things aren't going so good. So there's the sober line. This is where people come up to me all the time and say, Mike, you said at the Rose Garden speech that God gave us grace for such a time as this. And this doesn't feel like grace. I go, oh, but it is. This is the best time in history to be alive. This is changing everything. We get one shot at this, and where people's lives are being changed every day, pouring into this bucket of faith and hope and giving their lives to Christ. And so I'm really excited on that, and I'm telling everybody, we're going to get to this great place out here, and it's all on God's timing. God doesn't go by dates of election dates or anything. It's going by these things have to all happen. More and more things are happening every day that are exposing where we were going as a country, and if the Ronald Reagan said once, if the lights go out here, they go out everywhere. That's why the whole world is watching. And we've had great things lately that are opening doors. You just had the great country of Argentina, after decades of being communist ruled, they got rid of their machines by one judge saying, get rid of these voting machines. We're going to go to paper ballots. They did it in 4 months. They had a fair and free election, and they set the people free. It's amazing.
Wow. Mike Lindell, there's no question that you love our country, and I'm so happy and excited to remind our members that you are offering them an incredible discount. For AMAC members, visit amac.us. Check out our newest AMAC member benefits, the My Pillow. It is a dream, my favorite pillow. I just love it. And for all of you out there listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Mike Lindell, thank you for being with me today. And I hope you never, ever stop fighting. God bless you.
Well, God bless you. Thanks for having me on. And everybody, we've got up to 80% off all the products at AMAC there. So,
wow, what a deal. We so appreciate that. God bless, and I look forward to meeting you soon again. Have a wonderful day. And to all of you out there listening, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to join or renew your AMAC membership. Until next time, have a wonderful day, everyone. Does social engineering from leftist corporations make you feel like we're living in the Twilight Zone? If so, you're not alone, and that's why we're proud to stand behind a wireless company who stands behind your values. I'm talking about Pure Talk, an AMAC-supported wireless company on the nation's largest 5G at half the cost of the big three. So I challenge you to stand with a company who champions your values. Those of you who have always had your neighbor's back, you've pulled yourself up by your own bootstraps, and you still believe that the flag stands for freedom. It's time to join the masses who have fled their old wireless companies for something better. Pure Talk. Pure Talk gives you phenomenal coverage on America's most dependable 5G network for half the price of the other guys, with unlimited plans starting at just $20 a month. The average family saves almost $1,000 a year. And as an exclusive AMAC partner, Pure Talk will give you 3 years free on your AMAC subscription. Just dial 844-8-PURE-TALK and mention AMAC Podcast to make the switch. That's 844-8-PURE-TALK, and make sure to mention AMAC Podcast to get 3 years free on your AMAC subscription.